Yo, 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 what is up? We're here. I feel like we're always like, we're back, after, we miss a day or two. I don't even know if it's worth doing the recap, but hey, I mean, we're accountable people. We'll go back and check on the last time we did this. It was a week ago. Had a nice little week off here.
About a week ago.
Exactly. Had the Jaden Ivey hit, LaMelo hit. This one was the Shea 5 assists more, did not hit. Giddy had like a triple double or something. He had like 5 assists.
Yeah.
And it was a heartbreaker too, because it was one of those like, we like both of these and we went with Shea. But hey, it's all right. It's all right. Got some games we want to take a look at today. Canyon, did you have a good weekend? Ready to get in some NBA
Yep.
action?
Yep. Good long weekend. Good little NBA slate yesterday. It's funny. People were talking about how actually no, I'm just gonna say it. I'm not even talking about it. It was a good weekend.
All right. If Canyon stops himself, I'm gonna let it slide. I don't need to push the button there, so we'll get we'll get into it.
Yeah.
But no, we're hitting a stride in the NBA season. I mean, we're coming up on All Star break time. We're leading into there, hit kind of like the halfway point of the season. So yeah, and we've got a lot of key injuries too. So this first game we're gonna look at Brooklyn Spurs as the first game here. That's the thumbnail here. Shout out to Jeremy on the thumbnail. So obviously key injury. Kevin Durant and Vassell I think is a pretty decent injury in terms of like when we're talking about these two teams. But obviously KD out
Mhm.
for the month. Big injury. This is a really nice game. 232 total. Only five and a
Yeah.
half point spread for a Brooklyn team with no KD. The Spurs teams, kept some pretty close games, and Brooklyn obviously have been playing amazing, but I mean, no KD is obviously a big deal. So we'll get into this one. I will say, just kind of quick, I feel like we have to check down at Kyrie. Um,
Yeah.
just with this matchup, and obviously no KD. He is at 30 and a half. I will say Kyrie, man, he's been interesting because he's shooting the volume that should make this feel like a really good spot, but he has not been shooting great.
Right.
Pretty poor efficiency over these past two games. But how do you feel about Kyrie?
I love Kyrie tonight. I was telling you this before I even looked at any lines. I like the volume. I like the situation still. I'm not too worried about it. And this is one of those games where he can really pop off and get some rhythm back with a
Yep.
high pace, good matchup, all that. And the line is set at 3.5. And so, I mean, I think Vegas agrees with me. It's a good setup for him. They think he's going to pop off as well. But 30.5 is just, I don't know, man. You can be efficient and shoot a lot and still not cover. So I, I'm going to have to fade it, unfortunately. But I was really licking my lips at Kyrie's line, and I was hoping it was around like 27. But 3.5's, I'm still really tempted to take it. Like, there's a reason
It's a
it's
good
that high.
spot. Yeah, it's a good spot. And obviously, when we talk about like no KD, I will say like the volume's been really good. I think my thing is I don't really foresee Kyrie having like these crazy like 30 shot games, but he will consistently have these 20 to 24, 25 shot games for the stretch that KD's out. So I think
Mhm.
it's a decent spot, but I think I know there's only a couple games, but we can kind of take a peek elsewhere. Take a peek.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I do think Kyrie can easily get over 30,
Oh
but
yeah.
like, am I really gonna bank on that? That's like one of the
Mm-hmm.
best plays of the night with the way he's been shooting. Probably shouldn't. So I still like Brooklyn. I like Brooklyn's points here. Just obviously Spurs defensively aren't the greatest. They play at a high pace, which is why the total is so high. So want to look at these Brooklyn guys. Seth Curry's interesting. 12.5 is pretty good value on underdog here. You see it's at minus 125, minus 130-ish on the books, but minus obviously even money on underdog. So I kind of like Seth Curry at 12.5. I was looking at Claxton, like the other guys, like right. I like everybody to score, right? Obviously, like the higher
Mm-hmm.
pace, higher scoring game for Brooklyn. But then you're looking at guys like Royce O'Neal or guys like Ben Simmons that just really don't shoot that much, whether it be a high pace game or a good matchup or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just not their forte. So just because it's a high pace game doesn't mean that Royce O'Neal is going to shoot 12 times or Ben Simmons is going to shoot 12 times. So I'm not expecting them to pop off, but I am expecting guys like Seth Curry. This could be one of those games where he does shoot like 16 times, right?
Yeah.
So if Seth Curry is shooting 16 times, which is very likely, actually, I think this 12.5 is an absolute win, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what 6 field goals, not even with the way he shoots three. So I think Seth Curry's probably my favorite points play here. TJ Warren's interesting as well. I really like TJ Warren. But we'll see how much, like, I mean, even coming off the bench, I think he could still be very impactful and score a lot. I mean, his line's even higher than Seth's, but I don't know. Seth and TJ Warren are interesting to me on the Brooklyn side. Is there anything you like on the Spurs side or
Uh,
more on the Brooklyn side?
yeah, no, I just want to mention, I think in a similar vein to Seth Curry, Joe Harris had 10.5, but I feel better
Yeah.
about Seth Curry. They're both playing similar minutes if you just look at these two games without KD. So I expect that to
Yeah.
continue, especially matchup wise against the Spurs, right? I don't feel like Brooklyn needs to not play either of these guys a decent amount just with, the Spurs lineup. So
Yeah.
um, I don't mind Harris, but I do feel a little bit better about Curry. I don't the 2 point difference isn't enough for me to go to Harris over Curry if I was playing a points guy
Exactly.
on the Brooklyn side. So
Yeah.
like that. On the Spurs and yeah, I kind of want to peek at some of these assist lines because I'm just like even like Cyan at 10.5. I know he's had some good games and plays big minutes, but it's just hard to trust.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I want to peek at some peripheral lines. I think I might like those a little bit more for the Spurs guys. I do think yeah, Keldon at 23.5 isn't awful, but I just want to peek at some of these peripherals.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Trey Jones's assist line is pretty high. Not super high, but 6 flat. It's a little annoying. Um, I don't know if you still like that. I don't I don't know if I like it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it is in San Antonio, but I really like the defensive setup that Brooklyn can show for guards. And I don't know. 6 is a little him needing 7 in a slower paced game if Brooklyn can dictate the pace.
I mean I don't want to not that I like disagree. I do like this game though. I'm not saying that you're saying you don't like it, but I think the way you kind of poised it, like I do think this one is like one of those 115,
Okay.
120 games potentially. Just with what the total looks like and these two teams defensively, and just like the games we've seen from Brooklyn, even without
I think
KD.
I'd be more inclined to go PRA for Trey Jones.
Okay.
Decent rebounding guard. The assists are at 6 flat anyway. And, points, obviously, you get the most upside from points, and he can, you know, get 20 points on a night, especially with people missing in this offense like Vassell still. Um, his PRA is only at 26.5. And if you ever have a PRA where it's like, I mean, I'm not going to say he could cover that with just points, but he can get 20 points, and then all you need is 7 peripherals. Like, that's very nice, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty enticing to me. I don't think that's that high at all. So I like his PRA.
Yeah, I mean
Probably.
he's been scoring pretty well, especially in this stretch without Vassell. I think it's like the past like
Yeah.
6 or 7 games. If you just kind of look at it's pretty
Yeah.
efficient scoring, but that's kind of who Trey Jones is, right? Like he doesn't shoot a lot of threes. Obviously, he is a pass first guard for the most part, but he will pull and he will attack, and I think he can have opportunities to do that against Brooklyn, especially defensively, right? If you um, depending on what you expect defensively the matchups to look like. But I'm not super concerned about that for Trey specifically. What did you say the PRA was at? I'm pulling it up right now.
26.5, I believe.
Okay.
So it's interesting because his points are at 16 flat, his assists are at 6 flat. He can cover that with the big thing, right? Is like, okay, well, if he misses his points, does he cover that? Like, why don't we just go points? If he has 16 pushes like he did last game, 16, 7, 8, that hits. If he has 16, 5, 6, that hits. Like, those are very realistic stat lines, right? A 15-point double double, like a double double game, 15, like 210. That's not out of the question. Like 10 assists is pretty high, but like it's not out of the question either. So I do think there are solid scenarios where he covers his PRA without covering his points, because typically, right, the inverse of that argument is what keeps us from going PRA instead of points, right?
Yeah, and I think
That makes
like
sense.
for these guards when you're looking at PRA, he's the rebound like calculated in. Obviously, he can give you like dud rebound games, like not a great rebounder, obviously, but I mean, Oh, if you're just looking at this like past like 5 game stretch, 5, 4, 6, had a 1, and then 7, like I mean, he can like randomly give you these like 7 rebound games that really like saves you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I like Trey Jones, one of my fantasy darlings heading into this year. He's been pretty
Okay.
consistent.
Yeah, it took him a little bit to get, you
Yeah.
know, get acclimated, but yeah, it's solid. There's a couple of things here that I like. I was looking at Hurdle and Claxton. I just feel like I like both these guys. I like, without KD, without Vassell, I'd like the opportunity for them to have a little bit more usage offensively. But I just think it feels like a little bit of a stalemate to me. Pirtle versus Claxton is kind of like a unstoppable force versus an immovable object, is what it feels like to me. So I don't know which one to take. I don't know who wins this matchup out of those two. They're a bit different. Obviously, Claxton's much more athletic. I think Claxton might play more time as well. But yeah, I was trying to debate who I wanted to go with out of either of them. I think I would lean Claxton out of the two of them. I feel like with the higher pace scenario,
Hmm.
the lack of depth for the Nets, I think they could use a big like Claxton to run the floor with this uptick in pace and lack of depth for them. So 13 and a half points is his line. Seems like a lot. It's a pretty heavy favorite on most books. And so underdog, you get really good value there actually. So I don't hate that 13 and a half.
Yeah, that was one. I mean, I was gonna mention it too when we were talking about those Brooklyn guys. I don't hate that one at all. 13 and a half.
Is this another PRA instead of points though for him?
His rebound line's a little high, but so I'm
He's
curious.
at, I think he's at 24 and a half. Yeah, I don't know if he, what's his point? 13, 11, 1. Mm, I mean, if he covers that PRA in the past because he's covered points, I don't think he's covered that PRA without covering his points line anyway
Right? Yeah. I mean, do you?
in any of these
Yeah.
games.
Right. He's
This
just
one, we
like
don't
he's a
know.
guy who can like he can give you a 13 rebound game, but I don't like trust the upside enough to not just go points. You know.
Okay, he did it one. No, he didn't even do it that game. Yeah, it's got to be points then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can keep it rolling though. I think there's a couple things on there I kind of noted down that we like a decent amount. We can go
Yep.
up to this Raptors Bucks game. I know
Yep.
big injury piece, so I'm kind of gonna peek at this and see how many lines are even up for the Bucks guys. Oh, we do have.
Couple.
Um,
I think it's just Drew and Giannis.
oh yeah, and it's not really even on underdog, which is kind of
Yeah.
understandable. Giannis is the big. I expect. I will just say while we talk about this game really quickly, I expect Giannis to play. He was. I think he was expected to play yesterday. It was kind of the first leg of a back to back. He went through shoot arounds and ultimately was held out. And we see that a lot with players. Obviously, he did miss games before that, so I understand that, but we see that a lot with players on kind of the first or second legs of back to backs, especially ones who are dealing with an injury. And it makes all the sense in the world for a guy who, obviously missed a handful of games for him to miss the first leg of a back to back versus being brought back, you know, when you're just going to, have another day off. So, totally made sense in that sense. So I expect Giannis to play, but obviously we're not seeing lines on underdog.
Mhm.
You want to talk about the Raptors guys? Do you think that
Yeah.
it's impacted enough by Giannis, or do you want to just mention some of these?
Not too much. I think a common theme we see with the Bucks is people trying to beat them with a three ball.
Yep.
And so I look immediately at like the wings, maybe even Van Vliet too. Trent's at 17 and a half on underdog, and I think OG's lower, yeah, 14 and a half, kind of slightly favoring the over. I kind of like OG over Trent. I know that's a 3 point discount. OG's been shooting not that much less than Trent. People think of Trent as this guy who's going to shoot 17, 18, 19 times a game, and OG maybe like 12, but it's really like OG shooting like 14, 15, and Trent shooting like 16, 17. So there's not heavy disparity there. OG's also been shooting a lot of threes, like 7, 8, 9 threes a game in this last couple weeks. So I like these wings to shoot from the three a lot. Um, Obviously, I like Trent as a better pure shooter. So I like them both. I've been debating in my head which one to go with, but I do like both these lines a lot. I think Trent's much more of a high variance play, right? Because he can be a 2 for 10 from three guy, or obviously like a 8 for 9 guy. So Trent's a Trent's a smash or a dud, right? Typically. Whereas OG, I think, is going to have that higher floor. He's going to creep up to this point. He's going to be close. Um, so I like them both. I don't know who to go with. I think they shoot the three ball well
Yeah,
tonight.
I will say if you just and you we talk about this in the NBA, you don't want to just blindly go off of what happened the most previous time these teams played each other. It is one data point to look at, so I think it's something worth checking out. Siakam really struggled. I think he was like 4 for 18. It was a bigger Trent game, but it really was off the back of volume. 8 for 23 from the field and 3 for 12 from three. OG 6 for 18, 14 points. That's kind of like what you expect from him. 2 for 8 from three. It's kind of what we've seen recently. I believe. Let me pull this up real quick.
It also went to overtime. So
Yeah.
it was a close game. They played a lot of time. Obviously, the starters usually play a lot of time for the Raptors anyway, but in
Right.
overtime, OG played 46 minutes.
Yeah,
And
and a similar situation too with Fred. I will say similar game to Trent where he pretty inefficient shooting, a ton of threes, but had a decent scoring game off the back of just pure volume.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think defensively, I do think that, like, I will say I don't love kind of the spots for Siakam and Fred. Like, I do like those guys, and I think they could have good scoring games. Like, I'm just going to get that out of the way. But I think, like, it
yeah.
wouldn't surprise me if Siakam struggles again, and seeing him at 23 and a half, I think acknowledges that a little bit. And then Fred, you're getting a little bit of a discount on these guys, like usual lines, which is actually more scary for me than you might think. So
Yeah,
those two feel a little trappy to me.
yeah. I think I'm leaning towards Trent.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, I want to check. Let me check something really quick.
Okay.
Any Bucks guys you want to talk about while I'm checking something?
I mean, it kind of depends on Giannis,
Right.
but
Yeah.
uh, if we're still waiting, I mean, if Giannis plays, I actually kind of like Giannis in this. I don't think there's anybody like
Oh yeah.
the Raptors are very good defensively. They can switch
They're
on a lot of people,
lengthy. Yeah.
but they don't have like a big body,
Yeah.
really. Like Precious is kind of undersized. They're either long or undersized,
Yeah.
or both. So
Um, and yeah, and I was just double checking, and we can kind of move on from this point. I'm gonna check assists real quick, but no Drew Holiday in that earlier January game. So
okay,
I feel like I remembered that, but I wanted to double check and make sure. And that's a part of the reason I don't love Fred. And Fred didn't even shoot particularly well this last game, anyways.
yeah,
Assist wise, yeah, Fred at 6 flat. Siakam's interesting to me, but it's not 5.5. It's 6 flat, so I'm off of that. We can move on if you're cool with that. I think these lines are
yep,
just kind of fair versus I
yeah,
feel good about them.
yep. This is talk about a high total. This next one, Blazers Nuggets. We got
Yeah,
what 238 and a half. I
six
really
and a
like this
half.
game.
Yeah,
I I like Lillard.
yeah,
It's at 31 and a half on underdog, but I still like it. I like the matchup a lot
yeah.
on
I mean, it's
on
kind of like
Murray.
the spot. Yeah,
I wonder what his threes are. Probably like if it's at like 3.5, I really like that still.
I could see it being an ugly one. I'll pull it up.
It is 3.5. It's not on underdog right now though. Yeah, I like 3.5.
Yeah,
Obviously, everybody else does
this
too.
feels like it could be a 4 flat on
Probably will
underdog.
be.
Yeah. Grant two. Yeah, it's so funny that the only like 3 point lines they have are just the ugliest. Like Jeremy Grant 2 flat. I actually
Yeah,
don't hate it, but nah, no thank you.
yeah. Yeah, no, like this is a spot for me where it's like, okay, I'll take Lillard's 31.5 over Kyrie's 30.5. He's just been
Yes.
a
Yeah.
lot more efficient. He's
Yep.
shooting even more than Irving. It's also a good
Yeah, it's
pace.
even a better spot. I think you could argue
Yeah,
for Dame.
good spot defensively as well. So I'm really tempted to take it 31.5. Even though the value is probably on the under for most books.
Yeah, it's probably
So
more. It's probably pretty close to a pick on across
yeah,
the board at that line. I know it's favored at the 30.5, but um,
I don't love Anthony at 20.5. Little bit favoring the under on most books. If he
yeah,
sees KCP, I don't love it. I really think KCP's can really damage guard play. When he's on a good night, he's very good defensively. So if he's on
yeah,
Anthony, which will probably be switching, maybe
yeah,
even
and
beyond
not that
Dame.
it can't be multiple, but it does feel like a Dame night, you know. Like obviously they all can come out, or at least two of them can come out and cover their points. But man, when Dame's going off for 35, and Anthony has a tougher spot, yeah,
Another guy that I like, it's been playing very, very well the last couple weeks is Nurkic. 14.5 points. I I'm not like super scared of Jokic defensively. Like I know he's like a good defender and like puts up good stats, but it's not like he's like a lockdown like fade the center when you're playing against
yeah,
him, you know? And Nurkic can spread the floor. Like Nurkic is kind of like a baby Jokic, more or less, like a C-rated Jokic. He
yeah,
passes well, he defends well, he's a bit slower. Like they have similar games. Nurkic is probably a bit more physical than Jokic, right? Jokic is a bit more finesse than Nurkic is, but um I like Nurkic at 14.5. I like him being out on the floor a lot too. Like when he's been playing these high minutes, he's
yeah,
been having fantastic statistical nights. And this is another night where I think he should see closer to low 30s min minutes. And so if that's the case, I really like this 14.5 line, even though I do think a lot of the shot volume goes to the guards. I want to see what his rebounds are actually real quick too. No, you don't want to talk about rebounds, but Nurkic's just been
Oh
very
no,
nice
I
lately.
actually was going to
Very
peek at
nice.
PRA
Yeah,
for
his
Nurk.
rebounds are 9.5. Mm. I mean, if he plays like 34 minutes, I love it. Just love it. PRA
Yeah,
though, yeah, PRA.
27
What
and
you
a
said to
half.
me just like took like it was in the queue in my head and it just popped up and I was like, oh, you said PRA. I like that a lot too.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, what is it at? 27.5? Yeah, I
27
like
and a
that
half.
too. Yeah, I like some nerd.
Yeah, I mean he can give you a handful of assists, you know, especially with this
Oh yeah.
team, right? You know, he touches the ball. I know obviously it feels like the guards and Grant are very kind of ball dominant scorers, but you know, especially in these games where you expect him to be on the floor for, you know,
Yep.
pushing 30 minutes like you talked about. Like if you look
Yeah.
at these like 30 these games where he's playing like 30 to 38 minutes and you know some of these OT games, like he can give you like this Raptors Pacers games, 18 boards, 19 boards in 33 and 38 minutes. Like that's
Yeah.
totally reasonable.
Yep. Yeah, he's covered this in two of the three games this season. This PRA, the one game he didn't, he only played 21 minutes. And
Yeah.
he was getting there, like if he played the whole game. 13, 12, and 6, 21, 9, and 2. And those are all with Jokic playing as well. So
Yeah.
him on Jokic covers 2 out of 3, could have covered in all three if he played the full game, but
Yeah.
only 21 minutes there in the third one. So yeah, I backed that.
I like that. I like that.
On the other side, on the Denver side,
Yeah, Jokic
gonna
at
go
10 flat assists.
10 flat assists.
Yeah, he's just been
Just unbelievable,
so.
man.
It's a good spot. I do like this game.
What are his points at?
I think it's 25 and a half.
Really?
Yeah, I don't feel great about that. Do you like it?
Really?
I mean,
I do feel like
I mean
that.
the I don't feel great about that is kind of like the inconsistencies we've seen from Jokic and you know Porter and Murray playing. It's just like my thing with Jokic is like he can have games like he just had against the Magic, right? Where he gets you
He's
17 on 8 of 11 shooting and you're like, "Well, I wish you just like okay, you gave me 14 assists though, so I guess like you didn't I can't be too mad, but that's just like that. That's what scares me, especially with Nurkic. Like, I don't know.
He's just unreal.
I just think he's way more willing this season than others to just like show he's the best passing big man we've ever seen. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it.
And I don't even think like my thing is it's not even to me, it's not even like oh, we should have known this was coming. Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray back. Like obviously those guys are gonna shoot more and score more than, replacement guys that were there. But I think it's just like his play style. Like he's just being a lot less aggressive than we saw kind of like the tail end of last season and throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
So anytime that those like Jokic lines are like pushing 25, I've kind of just been off. I mean, we've gotten some 22 and a half, and it hurts me to say because it's like, come on, Jokic, like. But I don't know. I'm surprised that, and I know you're coming around to agreeing with me right now. But I know you're kind of like, Nurkic puts the fear of God in you a little bit matchup wise. I feel like.
Yeah, he does. I do like bully Nurkic.
Yeah, I mean, not that like Nurkic is like a nightmare for like any for a guy like Jokic, but compared to other guys.
Yeah, the struggle is just the fact that it's like, okay, if we get a 20-shot game out of Jokic, like that's a smash play, 25 points.
Yeah,
if we get another 10 exactly. That's why like moving forward, it's like, can we play
right
Jokic points if they're fully healthy?
Yeah, I mean, how many guys are going to shoot like 75% from the floor and not cover their points lines? You're like, okay, well, that sucks.
I don't know if they're fully healthy. I don't know when you can ever play his points line. Like he's just that.
Yeah, and it's I tell you what, it's not take the under. Right.
Yeah.
In a 238 and a half
I mean,
game.
You're just coin flipping as to what kind of game it's going to be out of him if he's got the full roster.
Well, I guess
okay, I can. It's almost like a Chris Paul to me. It's like he just commands the game so well. It's like, okay, this game I can just score it well. I'm just going to do that. This game they're shutting me down a little bit, or I'm having struggle. Okay, I'll just dish out 12 assists and command the glass.
Well, with that being said, and I assume you're off it. I just want to ask because we spent so much time on Jokic, at 10 flat assists. Are you off just because of that line? It's just kind of like it feels another coin flippy, like needing 11 assists even with how good he's been. Because the assists have been more consistent, right? Like we've seen him somewhere between like 9 and 14 assists, like kind of consistently, but it's still 11 assists from a guy who can have these high volume games.
Yeah, I'm not jumping at the bit at it. For sure.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to put it over to you and see what you thought.
Yeah, if this was on TNT, maybe.
Prime time. Anything else you want to talk about? I know we kind of went mainly 4 points, but we did peek at threes, and I feel like Nurkic and Dame are kind of what interests me in this game. And a lot of the other lines just kind of seem fair.
Yeah, I like the PRA play. Dame's 31 is enticing, but I'm going to let it be for now. And then
right.
Stuff like Grant at 20 and a half and Anthony at 20 and a half. It's like, I'm cool on that. Aaron Gordon is another guy I want to look at. Is he up here? Yeah, 16 and a half. He's been playing well this year.
Yeah, it feels kind of like a spot where a guy like Aaron Gordon could have a good game,
It does. That's why I was kind of wanting to entertain the idea. I don't know. I kind of like it. But again, it's... there's better points.
When we're debating Aaron Gordon points, that's my cue to move on to the next game.
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
Clippers Sixers. Big injury question is Paul George. He's another guy where I expect him to play, but obviously with these two Clippers guys, it's a nightmare determining. So I'm not gonna say that that's set in stone. He did go through, I believe it was full practice. His last report I saw, full practice the previous day. The expectation is he plays, but obviously we don't know. 223 total, 1.5 point spread. Interesting note about this game, I will say Melton got the start over Maxey, but they both ended up playing what you would expect from both of them minutes wise. And I think too, I know a lot of people kind of freak out about that. I think it kind of makes sense. rotation wise
Yeah.
to do that a little bit, right? When Melton's playing well enough to be kind of a part of this main rotation, and then Maxi as a guy who can kind of come in and spell and
Right.
make
There's
it.
like, yeah, it definitely makes sense. There's only one ball, right? So when you
Yep.
have Harden and Embiid and Maxi, someone's not someone's not
Yeah,
capitalizing
and they
on
do
their scoring
stagger. They
potential.
I mean they do stagger a little bit between those main guys, but I think it becomes so much more easier when you do start Melton and have Maxi rotate in. So if
Yeah.
that ends up happening consistently, it doesn't bother me too much.
Yep.
Pulling up points here. The classic 20 and a half
Yeah.
Harden.
Yeah, I don't hate Harden. I don't hate Embiid.
32 and a half, yeah.
At 32 and a half. I really like Harden assists here. He's at 10 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So I like him to get 11. Last time they played was when he had that crazy 20 assist game, the 2021 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, Embiid popped off last time. I I don't know if it really matters if Paul George plays from how I like these Philly guys. I guess just it would just keep the game closer, but I'm actually pretty surprised Clippers are favored. I guess because they're at home, but I mean this being a close game, it just makes me
I
really
mean, the
want to pick
Sixers have
Philly.
not been super inspiring in a lot of these games. I mean,
Right,
specifically, like thinking about
but now they're the Clippers.
for sure. It's just like for me, it's barely beating the Lakers, barely beating the Jazz, and then getting kind of trashed by OKC as kind of
Thunder.
like a yeah from this like previous three games. But I
Yeah,
agree. I think I'd pick the Sixers still if I was
yeah,
even with the Clips at home.
yeah. I think my favorite points line is Embiid still 32 and a half.
Yeah,
I
that's
think in
just
any close game with Philly that you're like if it's a
yeah
close game and you're playing Embiid on the court, they're just gonna get find out a way to get Embiid on the line like 10 times.
yeah
Like it's just gonna happen. He's gonna have 10 free points at the line and then he's gonna shoot 20 times.
yeah.
And I mean
Yeah, I mean, past four games
32 and a half.
since he's come back 36, 30, 30 and 35. And that 30-point Thunder game was kind of a weird one. He got into foul trouble early, only played 28 minutes that game. Really, I think he only played like I want to say he only played like 12 minutes or so in the first half altogether. Just with the
Foul
foul
trouble.
trouble he got into. Yeah, they just sat him down early in the second and just never put him back in. Um, Obviously that was another piece of why they lost that game. But yeah, no, I don't hate it, and I do think I mean assist line wise, it's 10 and a half, but I mean it's hard to not like man. I mean Harden, the
Oh, I love
assists
it.
too, and they're just like I mean we talk about stretches. I mean he's hit this line in the past six, right? 11, 11, 15, 15, 11, 13. And it's not even with like crazy low volume, you know, like he's still scoring like between 17 and 31 while he's getting these like double digit assist games. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's just the possessions start with him. It's a lot of easy Embiid pick and roll. Harden is just obviously a very good passer, but the assists are just easy, right? It's a lot of like pick and roll, throw it to Embiid, easy on the block, and he just gets like a lot of his guys. He's I mean 1 through 5 3-point shooters, right? That's another thing you love for a guy like Harden. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I just how do you not like it? You know, I know it's high,
Yeah.
but still. I mean, you compare it to others, right? I mean, Jokic 10 flat. I feel like I'd rather play Harden at 10 and a half.
Yeah.
Even with
Yep.
the push safety net of that, I still like Harden at 10 and a half.
You like Kawhi at 25 and a half more than Embiid at 32 and a half?
Kawhi. Say it again.
You like Kawhi's points line better than Embiid's?
I don't think so. I think I lean
Pretty
Embiid.
close to me.
Yeah, I think I do like Kawhi. The only thing that kind of like the only thing that sketches me out about Kawhi is like Paul George plays. But I mean, I do like it. Like I like them both. I just think I just lean Embiid. I just feel so good about Embiid being right up against 30, 31 points. You know, I like them both though.
Yeah, got like six, seven written down that I like.
Yeah, you.
We can narrow down.
Yeah, let me get this pulled up, and we can um, take a look. All right, all right. Let's do this. We'll do the side by side, and I can flip back through the props if we want, and let's just talk through the ones we liked. We'll come up with. We can do two or three. I mean, only 4 games tonight, so I don't want to
Yeah.
try to push it.
Yeah. All right. Um. So I've got. You want me to list out what I've got here?
Yeah, yeah. We can just kind of talk through them if you want to listen out.
All right. Got Seth Curry over 12.5 points. Trey Jones over 26.5 PRA. I wrote points. That's just not right. Over 26.5 PRA. Uh, Gary Trent Jr. over 17.5 points. Nurk over 27.5 PRA. Harden over 10.5 assists. Embiid over 32.5 points. And Kawhi over 25.5 points.
Um,
I
yeah. Are there any like before I start talking? Are there any of those that you read off that are like this is in it? Shut up, Will. Like I don't even care about your opinion. Like this is making it into the top three.
either Curry or Jones. I really like those first two.
Yeah,
Um,
I like this too.
I think I'm okay with taking Trent out.
Yeah, I'm okay with taking
I feel
Trent out. I like two or three. I'll say this. I like the two. I like those two. I think there's like four that I like really closely, and it's the first two you mentioned,
yeah,
Harden assists,
yeah.
and I'm curious how you feel about Nurk PRA compared to those two because I do like that.
You know I'm a Nurk boy. I'll ride Nurk into the sunset.
Uh, yeah.
All right, that squares it. We're going Nurk. I'll take. hmm,
It's really tough because I really like Harden assists. I really like it.
Okay, we could take Kawhi out. And I know you like, so we're down to five. I am okay with taking a beat out as well.
Yeah, I kind of typically what I'll do when I like a lot of these props. I don't know if it's just the way that I operate, but I kind of like mentally took out Embiid and Dame, even though I do really like Embiid.
Yeah, no. So now we're down to Curry, Jones, Nurk, and Harden. You want to take Seth or Trey Jones out? This thing on?
Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm fine with leaving both of those. If you really like them, I like them. I like them both pretty equally. It's hard for me to pick
Are you
one to
talking
take off.
four? Are you talking four?
I mean, we
Are we
just like we
talking
just give out like a
Tuesday
list,
four bomb?
Tuesday
Are we
Forsky.
talking, are we talking Tuesday four ski? One from each game?
All
Oh no,
right.
wait, we're missing a Bucks Raptors one. That's okay.
Yeah, that one's. I mean, that game's kind of.
I think if I had to take one out, I would take out Seth.
Yeah,
I said,
it's just a little more of a variance play. I'm cool with doing that if you want to roll three and just take out Seth. I do like it. I just feel like for the other plays, his feels like it has the most variance just because it's Seth Curry. I do like it though.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so read me the threes. I'm writing them down right now.
Ray Jones
Give me.
over 26.5 PRA, Nurkic over 27.5 PRA, and Harden over 10.5 assists.
All right. nice. I'll pull them up here. Try to buy time while I filled that out. You think like 15 shows, I'd have it down. But hey, it's all right. Harden, more than 10.5 assists. Trey Jones, more than 26.5 PRA. And Nurkic, more than 27.5 PRA. Once again, man, I know we talk about it a lot. I feel like I say this every time. I like these games overall a lot.
Yeah.
And then obviously the spots aligned with those games. Yeah, no, I think all these 3 games should be decent, high scoring games. And yeah, I like these lines, man.
Yeah.
Any other closing thoughts before I click stop streaming and do my little salute?
No. And I don't have to.
Yeah, get it done.
Get some of these TNT shows going before more playoff football.
Yeah. Man, they
Yeah,
should have swapped out the Bucks Cowboys game for any of the other games. Those are all like 1,000 times more exciting.
oh my gosh. Yeah, they should have put
It's the
like, I don't
lone
know.
slate game, and it's
I would
just
have rather watched just the random Kings game than that.
right. Yeah, just show me OKC. Actually, I don't know why OKC was my pick there. I apologize, guys.
Just run back a game that's already been played even.
Yeah, would have been a better waste of my time. All right, appreciate you guys. Good luck tonight. See you in the next one.